Next question is, are you going to keep voting to retain Dr. Smith in direct opposition to your constituents? Well, whoever wants to know this, my constituents haven't told me I shouldn't. Secondly, I became a band director at Tate in 1971. Came the same year as an old grumpy guy that I really dearly love, because he and I worked together for quite a while, named Carl Madison. My first year, I took my 90 kids out, and we tried to work real hard and produce a good band program. It wasn't the greatest in the world, but it was good. Carl did the same thing. I think we would have all regretted that after 1 year, they had decided he wasn't the right coach, because his record was 1-7-1. The years after that, he won many a district championship and later on a state championship. I believe that you have to give people time to do the job. Nobody can walk in and do it and turn everything around immediately. I was always very pleased in the last regime of a superintendent that every 4 years they did give Malcolm Thomas the opportunity to continue working. But if you ask Malcolm how long did it take you to figure it out, he'll tell you quite a while. Because you have to learn as you go, and you're learning on the job. There's no other way to learn as a superintendent except become a superintendent. And then who knows? How many of you would have predicted COVID right in the middle of school year? And I'll be very honest with you, we're still recovering. That's one reason that the entire state has had a demise in the graduation rate, because a lot of kids just didn't want to come back. They liked that learning from home, which they weren't doing. They were just staying home. So I believe in giving a person the job as long as I'm in office. My intentions are to keep supporting the superintendent, because that's what the team ought to be doing, and that's what the school board voted to do. Thank you.
Mr. Leonard, would you like to answer those questions?
This is a question about teacher development, and they were happy to see that in our strategic plan, two of the key areas were student discipline and staff development for teachers. Specifically, what are we doing to assist in helping our teachers not burn out? And then what are we doing for wellness? And I can talk to that pretty quickly. Let's see here. My wife was a teacher for 34 years. Our oldest daughter, this is her 6th year in teaching. My mom was a teacher for 35 years. I've been doing it since 1986, and I still feel like I teach every day. There are some days that are tougher than others. I see some of my teacher friends out here tonight. Student discipline, you heard where Dr. Smith talked about it in the strategic plan. There are certain things that should not be tolerated and should be dealt with. I believe that's what you will see begin to occur as it relates to student discipline. When a teacher does not feel supported, it impacts their wellness. So you're going to see our school district support our teachers when it comes to the expectations of student behavior. I mean, Dr. Smith and I were actually in a meeting before we came here, and that was one of the topics of discussion. A teacher has to feel supported. Also, a student needs to feel that support. So it's a two-way street. But when there's bad behavior, I don't know where you came from. I can tell you where I came from. My daddy, Mr. Slayton was talking about, was an assistant principal. right here at this school. And there were consequences if you misbehaved at school. But there were, and Mr. Slayton, I did misbehave every once in a while. There were consequences at home. So that communication has to go both ways. Speaking of wellness for teachers, we have an incredible wellness center. In fact, we have 2 sites. We have a site that is at the old Brown Barge Middle School there off of Tahar, just back behind Tahar in Fairfield. And then we also have a medical clinic that is on down the road as you go down Fairfield Drive and go across 12th Avenue, or right before you get to 12th Avenue. And then we also have a wellness center at our downtown office at the Vernon McDaniel building. Those 2 places are open to all employees and their spouses. So retirees, as long as they keep our health insurance, have the opportunity to go to those places as well. But teacher burnout and making sure that we are taking care of them as a school district, I can tell you why it's important. In human resources, our most important thing is to hang on to the people that we have. And to be able to hang on to them, we got to make sure they know they're going to be treated right. Dr. Smith asked me last week, how many teachers do we need to hire? Right at 500. We hired 51 at a we hired 51 from a hiring event that was 2 Saturdays ago, and we hired 37 as of this morning through college recruiting, retaining the ones we have and doing recruiting. So if you know anyone that would like to have a great career, you can give them this phone number, 850-439-2220, and we'll get them hired.